Call the meeting to order. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Cox, Ms. DeAndre,
Here.
Mr. Jelinek,
Here.
Mr. Kella,
Here.
Mr. Moore, Mr. Shatina.
Here.
Mr. Walden.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, this is the duly advertised meeting of the Joliet Plan Commission for the month of October. And we've got an agenda in front of you, and we've got several items on there under consideration. We do have the first one, which was withdrawn, and that is under the public hearing new business portion. And it's letter A, and it was the Challenge Park Extreme, and it was going to be a zoning change, and that has been withdrawn. And also with that, there's a companion piece under there. Let's see. So I think we will go right down to letter B, and in that case, it's an annexation. We've got A1213, the annexation of 26 acres located at 198 West Laraway Road and the northwest South Chicago Street in Laraway, a classification to B3, which is a general business zoning, and also the approval of an annexation agreement. The applicants in this matter are the Glasscock Family Trust, and the trustees are listed there. They are the owners of the property. The requested action is the approval of an annexation, its classification to the B3, which is the general business zoning, as well as the approval of an annexation agreement. The purpose is to allow the continuation of the existing farm stand uses and a future commercial development within the city of Joliet. This property is currently zoned A1, which is an agricultural zoning in unincorporated Will County. Again, the location is north and south of Laraway Road and west of South Chicago Street, which is Route 53. It's 26 acres in total, and the current existing land use is a farm stand on a portion of it and then accessory farm on some of the outlying properties. Also, there is a residential house on a portion of the property. Surrounding land use and zoning, to the north is agricultural with A1, to the south is commercial with a B3, to the east is commercial and industrial with a B3 and an I1, to the west is institutional and agricultural with an I1 and an A1 within the county. Under site history, we have no previous cases. Special information. The petitioners are requesting the approval of an annexation, a zoning classification, as well as the approval of an annexation agreement to allow the continuation of the existing Glasscock Farms and the farm stand and to allow for a future commercial development within the city. The farm will be allowed to continue in its current uses, which include the farm stand, produce sales, and 2 accessory residential properties. As part of the annexation agreement, the petitioners are seeking a fuel tax rebate on gas sales similar to the Route 66 Fuel and Fuel, which is located directly to the south of this property. The City of Joliet fuel tax rebate will allow the property owners to entice a future gas station to locate at the undeveloped northwest corner of South Chicago Street and Laraway Road, and to be competitive with the existing gas station, which is a neighbor to them. As part of the Route 66 food and fuel rebate, a business district was created at the site in order to levy a special sales tax in the amount of 1% of the gross receipts attributable to the sales of tangible personal property at retail. All public improvements will be required as part of the future development, including the Laraway Road and Route 53 improvements. A 10-foot wide bike trail and a 20-foot wide landscape area will need to be provided along Route 53. Water connection is available in a 12-inch main on the south side of Laraway Road. Sanitary sewer connection is available within a main on the north side of Laraway Road. Sewer and water connection fees, racetrack recapture fees, and development impact fees will be required at that time. Detachment fees to the East Joliet Fire Protection District in the amount of $4,046.25 are required. Library detachment fees are not required. The Community Design Review Board reviewed all of these matters at their October 3rd meeting, and the minutes from that meeting are in your packet. And that concludes their staff report.
Thank you. May we have the petitioner on this, please?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Michael Hanson, attorney on behalf of the Glasscock family. Scott Glasscock is here. I believe the staff report states our entire case. We think this is a great development again for the city, and we urge your approval.
Mr. Chairman, would you go over that fuel, food, thing for us to give us an idea what we're talking about on there? Or you prefer to have Jim do it?
Yeah,
whichever?
well, this is the same thing, Joe, that was granted by the city council to the client to the southwest corner, Lenny's Food and Fuel.
The new
okay?
one?
The new one. In order for them to compete in that area, because the two competing gas stations are down the north on Route 53 and east on Laraway Road, those are in the county, okay? They don't have the tax structure that the city of Joliet has. So in order for, to allow a gas station, and that's the only thing we're asking for. So if Scott decides to sell the properties to anybody else who's not a gas station, there's not going to be a special tax consideration,
So
okay?
you're looking for parity with the one that's there?
Exactly. Parity not only across the street, but also down the streets, okay, to make it a level playing field.
Where's the sewer and water at?
It's right, it's in the
Yeah,
report.
sewer's on the north side of Laraway Road, and the water is 12-inch on 53.
Right.
So they got a good permission to go down and pick it up, but no, they're adjacent.
It's right there, close
Right
by.
there.
Okay.
I would so move.
One more. Wait a minute.
One more
Wait a
question.
minute. Any more questions? Yes.
Yes. Well, what size of this gas station proposes? It's, because the traffic there's out of hand already. And they did make some changes to the,
We really haven't entertained any discussions with any gas
It's just
station at this
zone
point in
part.
time. We just,
I thought maybe you were in possible contract or something.
Scott, if you could come up for the record, if you could come up on the microphone, that
Yeah, give your name and address, please.
Scott Glasscock, I live at 198 West Laraway. There is no intentions of, or we have nobody that's sitting in the wings to buy this property. In my opinion, I thought that because we're in the county or the city, the police may be of either the county or the city, and I wanted to make it in the city because all around me, I'm surrounded with the city being there. I didn't want any confusion on fire aid or anything like that, so I could see this coming. So I decided to ask you for annexation.
Very good, thank you.
Anybody else on the commission? Anybody from the audience? Okay, hearing none. The motion's in order for A-12-13, please.
So moved.
Second,
Call the roll, please.
Ms. DeAndre?
Yes.
Mr. Jelinek?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Shatina?
Uh-huh. They had
Mr.
a good crop
Walden?
this year, too.
what, yes?
Mr. Kella?
Yes.
thank you.
All right, next case up is a preliminary plat. We've got P10-13, that's preliminary plat of the Center Point Intermodal Center at Joliet Subdivision Phase 7. The applicant is the Autobahn Industrial Joint Venture LLC. The owners are the Autobahn Industrial Joint Venture LLC and Center Point Terminal Railroad. The requested action is the approval of a preliminary plat of a minor subdivision, and the purpose is to create 7 industrial lots for current and future development. The existing zoning down in this location is IT, which is the intermodal terminal zoning. The location is the west side of Center Point Way at Millsdale Road. Size of the property is 46.2 acres, and it's the industrial business park. The surrounding land use and zoning to the north is the Autobahn Country Club, which has I-1 light industrial zoning. To the south is industrial with IT. To the east is industrial with an IT. To the west is Autobahn, which has the I-1. Under site history, Center Point Joliet Terminal Railroad LLC has petitioned for multiple requests heard and approved by the Plan Commission and the Mayor and the City Council for their Center Point Intermodal Center at Joliet development. The majority of the property, which the intermodal rail yard was annexed and zoned IT and approved with an annexation agreement, part of Phase 1 in December of 2008. Phase 2 included all of the Center Point holdings, and that was approved in March of 2010. 30 acres are subject to site was reclassified from the I-1 to IT in November of 2012. For special information, the petitioner is requesting the approval of the Phase 7 preliminary plat in order to allow the subdivision and continued industrial development on the 46.2 acres. There is currently a 485,000 square foot spec warehouse distribution building being constructed on Lot 27. Lot 30 will comprise 12.5 acres and is also buildable, but there is no plans to develop it at this time. The remaining lots, 24, 25, 26, 28, and 29, will encompass the neutralized stormwater detention areas. The building complies with the city's non-residential design standards, and the site will be landscaped and fenced in accordance with the zoning ordinance for the IT district. All public improvements will be required as per the subdivision regulations and Public Works and Utilities departments. Sewer and water connections, sewer surcharge fees, and the development impact fees will be required as previously approved by the annexation agreement. And then lastly, we've got the CDRB minutes from October the 4th, and they're, October the 3rd, and they're included in your packet, and that concludes the staff report.
Yes, when we have the petitioner on this case, please.
Chairman and Commissioners, Clayton Thurston with Geotech, representing CenterPoint.
Anything more to add?
No, I think staff covered it quite well.
All right, thank you. Anybody from the commission with a question? Anybody from the audience? That a motion's in order for P-10-13, please?
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Jelinek?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Shatina?
Aye.
Mr. Walden?
Yes?
Ms. DeAndre?
Yes.
Mr. Kella?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes all of the items that we had to take action on. Next would be approval of the minutes from September the 19th of 2013. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved?
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any discussion or comment? Hearing none, thank you. And then lastly, adjournment. Do I hear
I
a
have a
motion?
question.
Yes.
There's that LP gas operation coming up.
The LNG?
So, okay.
Yeah. Yes, and Rusty could answer questions if we have anything specific, but they are going to run into a lease, and they're going to lease CenterPoint is going to lease the property to the LNG facility down at CenterPoint Way and Vetter Road. Is that the one that you're talking about?
No, I was talking about the one by the convention center.
You know, that's
Proposed
all been
convention.
approved and taken care of. There's not going to come back to this group for anything that we know of.
Do you know when they're going to start over there?
They had hoped to start very quickly. Their timetable was to have the majority of the construction done before the end of the year. They said it goes very, very fast because all of the facility is pretty much prefabbed. So it's just a little bit of site work, some concrete work, and then bring in the equipment for this fuel
I'm getting
dispensing.
some questions on it. I don't know why they're not calling down here, but is that unmanned?
No, it will be manned 24 hours a day.
Okay.
And what it is there'll be an employee of the company that will physically fuel the trucks. What'll happen is the trucks will come in, and they'll have regular diesel in one saddle tank on the driver's side. They'll have what's effectively a giant thermos bottle on the other side, and they'll run off as much as they can off of the LNG because it's $1.65 to $2 cheaper than diesel is. And what they'll do, the big thing on there is that I think there was a little bit of confusion because a lot of people think that they will be trying to entice regular tractor trailers off the highway, and that's not the case. You have to have special equipment to use this LNG. What the company hopes to do is go out and sign up customers and have their trucks converted over to run on LNG, and those customers would be people that are actually in the Joliet market already, like the big trucking companies that are home in Joliet, or companies that call upon those warehouses in and around this general area. And unless you had that type of equipment, you would not be able to use this fuel source. And there's not a lot of places where you could get this. So what they expect would be, for instance, PetSmart is right behind this location, that they would get the trucking company that delivers all the PetSmart stuff to all of their stores would be one of their customers and would fill up early at the wee hours of the morning and then take the load of of stuff out to the various stores, and at the end of the day, come back and either fill up at the end of the day or before they go out in the wee hours of the morning the next morning. And they would run exclusively on LNG, but also they can't, it's not 100% because they need a little bit of diesel to spark the LNG. But that's the hope, and so they would not be attractive to a regular trucker off the highway unless he had this very particular equipment. And there's not enough LNG fueling stations yet for anybody to do that, and it's probably several years down the road where they would do that. But the interesting thing about LNG, it's so much cleaner than diesel that from a air pollution standpoint, it's way better than the diesel that most of the trucks are running now.
Okay.
But it would be manned, it would be a company-owned facility, and that it would be manned by their employees 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The interesting thing is traffic was a big concern. They had a traffic study done, and what they think is these route trucks, these semi-trucks that deliver the goods to all of the various stores, would probably fuel up in the wee hours of the morning, and maybe they would fuel up when they came back like supper time or thereabouts. They don't think that they would have a whole lot of business like in noontime. It depends on the routes the trucks run, how far away they go. Like we just did a christening of the big 1.6 million square foot Home Depot warehouse down in Center Point, and they were telling us that they distribute out of that warehouse to 400 stores throughout all of the Midwest. So obviously a route truck is going to have a length, they'll go out in the day and they might come back the next day. They might have to burn diesel for the remainder of the trip because they'll burn through a lot of this LNG. So it's a developing technology, but relatively positive what we can see. The other interesting thing is there was no advertisement for this station. The only thing they're going to have is their logo on the storage tank is the only way you'll know it. So I kind of liken it to our fueling facility on Gale Drive. Unless you know what it's there for, you drive past there all the time, the average person might not know, well, there's a fueling station there. Police cars and fire trucks fill up all the time. That's how this thing's going to be. You'll drive past it, you won't see, they won't be doing advertising to the general public, to the general truck.
I think the concern with some of the people that have talked to me was that it's so close to the convention center.
Right.
If it were unmanned,
No, it's
what
going to be
could
manned.
happen?
And one of the things that the city manager did do, he talked to Jim Rolfe, who's with First Midwest Bank. They have a back office facility not too far from there. They didn't see any problem with it. Tom talked to Heroes and Legends. We did a lot of back and forth with Joe Pecora, and he's comfortable with it. And then Tom did in fact talk to the convention center folks, and they're okay with it as well.
good.
Other than that, you don't know anything about it.
I don't know anything about it. So any other questions before we adjourn? I think we took the vote for adjournment, right, Karen?
Not yet.
Oh, all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.
All right.
TJ asking the question.
I know.
That's more information than I ever needed.